There is a law, immutable and unchanging, which governs the seen and the unseen. It is the law of the word. For the spoken word carries within it the seed of its own fulfillment. Words are not mere sounds, nor idle expressions. They are containers of power, messengers of thought, vibrations that go out into the universe and return multiplied. Many do not realize that their lips hold the keys to their fortune, and that the very syllables they speak write the script of their destiny. What is often called luck is but the harvest of seeds sown in consciousness, watered by faith and ripened by divine timing. I stood once in the very silence of expectancy. It seemed that everything I desired had been withheld. Yet I knew in my heart there was no withholding, only a waiting upon the right word, spoken in alignment with the infinite. The lottery of life does not begin with tickets or numbers, but with belief, conviction, and the precision of speech. For the tongue is both a rudder and a magnet. It directs the ship and attracts the cargo. In that hour, I did not argue with appearances. I did not bow to the testimony of lack or limitation. Instead, I turned inward and remembered that every word spoken in faith moves upon the substance of the unseen and shapes it into form. I asked myself, what 3 words will open the gates of abundance? What phrase will align me with the inexhaustible storehouse of good? And with unshakable calm, I spoke them aloud, not once, but with the authority of one who knows that the universe is always listening. It was not the multitude of words that mattered. It was not long prayers or elaborate affirmations. It was the simplicity of truth spoken with certainty. 3 words, small as a pebble cast into the pond of spirit, yet they set in motion ripples that touched every corner of my life. The very next moment, doors opened, channels widened, and fortune flowed in like a mighty river released from its dam. And it was so astonishing that the world called it winning the lottery. But I knew it was not chance, nor accident, nor blind fortune. It was law. The same law that declares, "By thy words thou shalt be justified." The same law that makes no distinction between great things and small things, but simply mirrors back to the speaker the exact vibration they send forth. For when the word is spoken with faith, it pierces the veil of appearances and summons the reality already waiting in the invisible. Those 3 words were a key. They unlocked what was already mine in the realm of spirit, waiting only for my recognition and acceptance. It was not a question of worthiness, nor of effort, but of alignment. The treasure house was always full, yet it required the right word, spoken with power, to swing open the gates and let the riches pour forth. The spoken word is the mightiest instrument given to humankind, for it is both seed and sword, both creator and destroyer. When one understands that every utterance carries with it an imprint of power, one becomes vigilant of speech and begins to see the tongue not as a casual tool, but as the very brush that paints the canvas of life. The creative power of the spoken word lies in its ability to vibrate through the invisible substance that surrounds us, substance that is ever pliable, ever responsive, and ever ready to take form according to the command it receives. The ancient declaration, "Let there be light," was not a suggestion or a timid request. It was a decree spoken with absolute authority, and light appeared. This is the law at work, a law that responds not to hesitation or fear, but to words aligned with certainty, conviction, and divine recognition. Many go through life speaking words of lack, sickness, failure, and limitation, and then wonder why such conditions appear and multiply. The world is merely a mirror reflecting the vibration sent forth. When one says, "I cannot," the universe obeys and closes the door. When one says, "I can," the universe sets into motion unseen forces to bring the statement to pass. It is not the world that binds the individual. It is the words the individual speaks into the ethers, charged with belief, that shape chains or wings. Words are seeds, and each seed brings forth fruit after its kind. To speak carelessly is to scatter weeds, but to speak with intention is to sow a garden of plenty. The creative power of the spoken word is not confined to grand declarations or dramatic affirmations. Even the smallest phrase, spoken with faith, carries a force that ripples through the unseen. A whisper can be as mighty as a shout, if it is spoken with the authority of inner knowing. It is not volume but vibration that matters. A child who declares with innocence and belief, "Tomorrow will be wonderful," has already set in motion currents that bring joy into that tomorrow. The principle is impartial. It does not weigh the status, the age, or the circumstance of the speaker. It simply mirrors the belief clothed in sound. To understand the power of the spoken word is to recognize that speech is never idle. Every utterance is recorded in the substance of spirit and returned to the sender in due time. The careless joke, the word of fear, the sigh of despair, these are not forgotten echoes, they are living seeds waiting to bear fruit. So too are the words of faith, love, abundance, and health. When spoken persistently and with trust, they gather momentum until they become visible in the affairs of life. The spoken word is creative because it moves beyond thought and enters into action. A thought unspoken may linger in the realm of possibility, but once spoken, it has crossed the threshold into command. The lips give form to the invisible, and the invisible shapes itself to fulfill the decree. The creative word is strengthened by imagination and belief. To speak without conviction is to scatter seeds upon stone, but to speak with inner vision is to plant deeply in fertile ground. One who declares prosperity while secretly imagining poverty will reap confusion, for the soil is divided. But one who speaks prosperity while inwardly picturing abundance aligns thought, word, and vision into a single powerful channel, and manifestation follows swiftly. The word, when backed by unwavering belief, cuts through obstacles as though they were mist. For the unseen world rearranges itself to honor the authority of faith. Consider the power of blessing. To bless another with words of goodwill is to release streams of unseen substance toward them. Substance that must find its mark and return multiplied to the sender. To curse is equally potent, though destructive. This is why wise ones guard the tongue, for with it we may build kingdoms of joy or prisons of despair. Words are not to be taken lightly, for they are spiritual decrees dressed in syllables. The more consciously one chooses words, the more consciously one chooses the experiences that follow. There are countless stories of those who have transformed their lives through speech. A man once impoverished began declaring daily, "I am rich in every way," until his consciousness shifted and opportunities appeared that lifted him into abundance. A woman who suffered from long illness affirmed, "Every cell of my body radiates health," until vitality returned and her body aligned with her spoken decree. These were not miracles of chance. They were the lawful outworking of words spoken with faith and persistence. The spoken word must be aligned with truth, for truth carries the vibration of eternity. Empty boasting or vain repetition carries little weight, but words spoken from the deep well of spiritual recognition move mountains. To say, "I am guided," when one believes in divine order, is to summon guidance unfailingly. To say, "I am loved," when one knows the universe is love, is to attract affection and harmony. The word is a creative key, but it must fit the lock of belief. Spoken with alignment, it opens every door. The law is impartial. It does not recognize whether one speaks in jest, in anger, or in sincerity. It simply sets into motion the vibration of what is spoken. This is why vigilance is required. Many sow defeat with their own lips, saying, "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I always fail," and then they marvel at the consistency of their failure. Yet the law has only obeyed. To shift the harvest, one must shift the seed. And that begins with the conscious use of speech. By replacing words of lack with words of plenty, words of fear with words of courage, words of sickness with words of health, the entire garden of life transforms. The creative power of the spoken word is the foundation of prayer, affirmation, and declaration. Prayer is not pleading with a distant deity, but aligning with the truth through word. Affirmation is not wishful thinking, but the steady planting of seeds of reality. Declaration is not arrogance, but recognition of one's rightful inheritance. Each word spoken in alignment with divine law is a hammer that shapes substance into form. The universe itself is built upon vibration, and words are vibrations sent forth consciously. Faith is the invisible force that draws to itself the visible form of whatever is believed. It is the magnet of supply, the unseen current that pulls forth from the vast reservoir of spirit the very thing the heart has claimed. When faith is unwavering, it acts like a beacon, a light that cannot be hidden, calling unto itself every circumstance, person, and event required for its fulfillment. It does not matter if appearances shout the opposite, for faith does not measure by appearances. Faith sees only the outcome and rests in certainty that the supply is already given, waiting only to take form in the visible world. It is the bridge between the invisible and the tangible, between desire and demonstration. Without faith, words are hollow and actions are weak, but with faith, even the smallest word, the smallest gesture, becomes charged with creative fire. The magnetism of faith is subtle but unstoppable. It does not strive, it does not struggle, it does not push. It simply attracts, as surely as a magnet draws iron filings. This attraction is not accidental, it is law. What one believes with conviction must appear. For the substance of the universe responds to belief as naturally as water responds to gravity. Many imagine faith to be a vague hope, a desperate clinging, but true faith is calm, assured, immovable. It knows that what is asked for in spirit is already received, and it waits in serenity until the form appears. Just as a farmer plants seed in the earth and waits with trust for the harvest, so does faith plant words and images into the unseen and wait for them to blossom into form. Faith as the magnet of supply explains why two people in identical circumstances can have entirely different outcomes. One may declare prosperity with faith and watch doors swing wide, while another may repeat the same words with doubt and see nothing change. It is not the words alone, but the faith behind them that charges them with power. A declaration without faith is like a magnet without charge, unable to attract. But a declaration spoken with faith draws supply as though the universe itself bends to deliver it. Faith is the current that gives vitality to every affirmation, the energy that carries words into manifestation. When faith is strong, obstacles dissolve, for they cannot withstand the vibration of certainty. A person of faith does not waste energy fighting shadows of doubt or mountains of impossibility. They simply stand in their conviction, and circumstances rearrange themselves to clear the way. This is not struggle, but alignment. Faith does not conquer by force but by attraction, drawing to itself the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing. As naturally as night gives way to dawn. Faith knows that supply is already present, though hidden, and that it will reveal itself when called forth by the magnetism of belief. Faith operates beyond logic, beyond what the senses can confirm. The senses may insist there is lack, that the purse is empty, that the cupboard is bare, but faith declares, "My supply is infinite," and holds to that truth until the evidence shifts. To those without faith, such a stance seems foolish. But the faithful know that appearances are but shadows, temporary reflections of past belief. To persist in faith is to rewrite the future. For faith plants new seeds in the soil of the unseen, and those seeds must bear fruit in time. Faith is not blind, though the world calls it so. It sees deeper than the eye, it perceives the eternal reality that the physical eye cannot yet grasp. Faith and fear are opposite magnets. Faith draws supply, fear repels it. When one fears loss, the loss comes. When one fears failure, failure appears. Fear is faith turned upside down. Faith in the wrong outcome. The same law operates, but the polarity is reversed. To shift from fear to faith is to reverse the magnet. To turn the current toward good instead of evil, toward abundance instead of lack. This shift may seem small in thought, but it is monumental in effect. The moment faith is chosen over fear, the magnet begins to draw supply instead of scarcity. Faith does not waver with delay. Delay is often mistaken for denial, but faith knows better. Just as a seed takes time to germinate beneath the soil, so too does the word of faith take time to unfold into visible reality. The one with faith does not dig up the seed in impatience, nor declare that nothing is happening. They trust the unseen process and wait with assurance. This patience is not passive, it is active expectancy. A confident waiting that continues to declare the outcome as already done. In this way, faith strengthens itself, and its magnetic power increases with every day of steadfast belief. Supply responds to faith, because supply is infinite, ever present, and waiting for recognition. Lack is but the illusion of unclaimed supply. When faith declares, I receive, it is not creating supply from nothing. It is drawing into visibility that which already exists in the infinite storehouse. Faith aligns the speaker with abundance, and abundance must flow through the open channel. Just as water flows to the lowest point, so supply flows to the open heart of faith. The one who doubts blocks the channel, while the one who believes clears the way. The magnet of faith cannot fail, for it operates according to law, and law is impartial. There are those who can trace every success in their life to a moment of unshakable faith. Perhaps they had no money, no connections, no resources, yet they held to a single conviction that supply would come. And come it did, in ways unexpected and perfect, through channels unforeseen. The magnetism of their faith drew it forth. Others may toil and strive endlessly without faith, exhausting themselves yet achieving little, for their magnet is weak. Faith makes the impossible inevitable, for it bypasses struggle and goes straight to the source, attracting directly from the unseen. Faith as the magnet of supply is not limited to money or material things. It draws health, love, harmony, and success with equal power. Whatever is held in consciousness with faith becomes magnetized, and the universe is compelled to deliver it. To say, I am whole, with faith is to draw health into the body. To say, I am loved, with faith is to draw companionship into the heart. To say, I succeed, with faith is to draw victory into every endeavor. The magnet does not discriminate, it draws whatever the faith commands. Simplicity is the secret language of the universe, for the greatest truths are never complicated. The power of creation does not depend upon long phrases, elaborate rituals, or ornate practices, but upon the pure, simple words spoken with belief. Complexity belongs to the restless mind, always striving, always layering, always doubting. Simplicity belongs to spirit, which knows the direct path and walks it without hesitation. To grasp simplicity is to see that a single affirmation can change a life, that 3 words spoken in faith can turn poverty into wealth, sickness into health, sorrow into joy. The mind often insists that something so small cannot yield such great results, yet the law of life operates on the principle that the seed is always smaller than the tree. 1 acorn contains a forest. 1 drop contains the ocean. 1 word contains a destiny. Those who stumble are often those who complicate. They believe they must labor in thought, construct lengthy prayers, repeat formulas endlessly, and yet they remain weary and fruitless, because their focus has strayed from the essence. The law does not heed the length of speech, but the power behind it. A long prayer spoken in doubt may carry no weight at all, while a single word, uttered in certainty, can open the gates of abundance. The spirit responds not to the quantity of words but to their quality. Simplicity carries purity, and purity carries power. The universe listens to the vibration, not the decoration. Consider the child who speaks without doubt. A child will say, tomorrow will be happy, and the day bends to their decree. They do not stack phrases or reason their way into belief, they simply know. That is simplicity, and that is why the words of a child often manifest so quickly. Adults, trained in worry and burdened with analysis, lose this art. They dress the simple truth in robes of complexity until its essence is buried. To return to simplicity is to return to childlike faith, the place where words are arrows that never miss their mark, because they are shot straight from the heart. Simplicity is not weakness, it is concentrated strength. The simplest tools often accomplish the greatest works. Fire begins with a spark, not a blaze. Rivers begin with a spring, not a flood. Life begins with a single cell, not a multitude. In the same way, the spiritual word need not be wrapped in countless repetitions. It must simply be clear, direct, and infused with conviction. The simple statement, I am, is among the most powerful, for it declares identity and aligns with the eternal truth of being. Anything added to I am is planted in the soil of consciousness and must grow. To say, I am prosperous, with belief is to plant prosperity. To say, I am strong, is to plant strength. These are not complicated formulas but simple seeds, and the simpler the seed, the more purely it grows. The mind, in its restlessness, often resists simplicity because it craves control. It whispers, surely more is needed. Surely a longer prayer, a greater effort, a more elaborate ritual. Yet the more one complicates, the further one drifts from the natural flow of spirit. The river does not struggle to find the sea, it follows the simple path of gravity. The flower does not toil to bloom, it simply unfolds in the sunlight. Spirit does not complicate, it expresses. And when we align with spirit, our words, too, must be simple, direct, and true. Simplicity has the power to cut through doubt, because it leaves no room for distraction. When one speaks a simple phrase, the mind cannot hide behind layers of reasoning. It must face the truth directly. To declare, all is well, leaves no opening for argument. It is final, it is whole, it is complete. To declare, I receive now, carries no confusion, it is present, it is certain, it is clear. The simplest words often have the greatest effect, because they strike the deepest chord in consciousness. They are not scattered across many directions but focused into one, and that focus becomes a laser that shapes reality. It is often in the moment of desperation that one discovers simplicity. A person burdened with long affirmations, endless strategies, and countless efforts may finally collapse into surrender and utter a single phrase from the depths of their being. In that moment of simplicity, the miracle occurs. Not because of the desperation, but because the layers of complexity fell away, and the word finally came forth in purity. The heart spoke, uncluttered, and the universe answered. Simplicity carries authority. The great leaders of spirit throughout time did not speak in elaborate words to move mountains. They spoke in simplicity. They said, be healed, and healing came. They said, rise, and the dead arose. They said, peace, be still, and the storm obeyed. These are not ornate incantations but direct, simple commands. The authority lies in the alignment with truth, not in the length of speech. The same authority lies within every person when they dare to speak with simplicity and faith. Simplicity liberates the speaker from doubt because it demands no proof, no reasoning, no explanation. A simple word stands on its own. To declare, I am guided, does not require the mind to figure out how guidance will come. It simply acknowledges the fact. To say, I am provided for, does not require knowing the channel of provision, it rests in the truth. Simplicity refuses to bargain with appearances. It declares what is and allows the law to do its work. In this way, simplicity is not only a method but a shield, protecting the heart from the endless chatter of the mind. Those who master simplicity live with a lightness unknown to the complicated. They do not waste energy on analysis or laborious prayers. Their words are few, but their manifestations are many. They speak only what is needed, and because it is spoken with clarity, it is done. They do not pile words to force the universe into action, they release words as keys, knowing each one opens a door. This is the secret of simplicity. It trusts the law to work without interference. The simple word is like the switch that turns on the light. The power was already present, the switch simply released it. Law, not luck, governs the universe, for nothing comes by chance. Every effect has its cause, and every cause is set in motion by thought, word, or deed. What the world calls luck is but the working of invisible law, impartial, exact, and unfailing. The gambler may believe he won by fortune. The merchant may think success arrived by coincidence, and the sick may call recovery an accident of nature. But behind all these is the immutable law that life mirrors the consciousness of the individual. When one understands this, life ceases to be a game of chance and becomes a field of certainty, where results are predictable according to the seed sown in word and belief. The belief in luck is the refuge of the uncertain mind. It clings to the idea that blessings arrive randomly, that some are chosen while others are forgotten. Yet the law shows no favoritism. It responds not to personality or circumstance but to vibration. Just as gravity pulls with the same force upon rich and poor, young and old, so does spiritual law respond equally to all. It is not luck that lifts one man into prosperity and leaves another in lack. It is the consciousness each carries and the words each has spoken into being. To attribute life's outcomes to luck is to ignore the very principle that governs them. When one says, "I am lucky," without understanding, they may stumble upon success temporarily, for even careless words carry some power. But when they speak with awareness, knowing that it is not luck but law that operates, their success becomes continuous. The one who depends upon chance wavers with every turn of circumstance, never secure, always waiting for the next stroke of fortune. The one who depends upon law stands firm, for they know that as they plant, so they will harvest. Their prosperity does not flicker like a candle in the wind, it burns steadily, fueled by the certainty of universal principle. To live by law is to understand that nothing is withheld and nothing is arbitrarily given. The storehouse of supply is infinite, and each individual has access to it through their words and beliefs. If one speaks lack, they withdraw from the storehouse. If one speaks abundance, they open the channel wide. The law is precise, like a mathematical equation. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4, no matter who performs the calculation. Likewise, words spoken in faith will always draw their like result, no matter who speaks them. This is the order of the universe, unchanging and reliable. The idea of luck breeds passivity. Those who wait upon fortune delay their good, imagining that life must first choose them before blessings can arrive. Yet law requires no waiting, only alignment. The moment one speaks with authority and believes with conviction, the unseen currents move. Opportunities appear, doors open, supply flows. What others call luck is nothing more than the visible outworking of invisible law. To the one who understands, there is no mystery in it. They know why the result has come, for they remember the word they planted and the faith with which they nourished it. Law operates with impartial exactness. If one sows doubt, they reap uncertainty. If one sows fear, they reap loss. If one sows faith, they reap supply. The harvest never surprises the wise, for they recognize it as the mirror of their inner state. Those who call themselves unlucky are often those who have filled their speech with words of failure, defeat, and limitation. They have invoked the law unconsciously, and it has delivered faithfully according to their vibration. The remedy is not to beg for luck but to change the seed. By speaking new words, affirming new truths, holding new visions, the harvest is transformed. The strength of law is that it removes the element of chance from life. It places the power firmly in the hands of the individual. No longer does one need to wait upon fortune or fear misfortune. They can, through conscious speech and belief, direct the currents of life as surely as a sailor directs his vessel by the rudder. This is not arrogance, but recognition. The sailor does not create the wind, he aligns with it. The individual does not create the law, they align with it. And once aligned, the journey is steady and sure. Law, not luck, also explains why blessings sometimes appear through unexpected channels. A person may affirm abundance and suddenly receive it through a source they had never imagined. To the unknowing, this looks like luck, but to the wise, it is simply the law finding the nearest open channel. The universe is never limited in its ways of supply. The law requires only that faith declare the good, the form in which it arrives is secondary. One must therefore hold to the truth of law and release the need to dictate the channel. Luck seeks chance through one narrow doorway. Law finds supply through infinite avenues. Those who rely on luck are easily discouraged, for when fortune seems absent, they fall into despair. Those who rely on law are steadfast, for they know that even if appearances contradict, the law is already at work. They do not fear delay, for they understand that delay is not denial but preparation. They do not envy another's success, for they know that the same law operates for them as well. Their certainty creates peace, and their peace attracts even greater supply. The notion of luck is rooted in separation, the belief that one must wait to be chosen by an outside power. The truth of law is rooted in oneness, the knowledge that the same principle flows through all. To see life as governed by luck is to live as a beggar at the gates of chance. To see life as governed by law is to live as a rightful heir, claiming the inheritance already waiting in the storehouse of spirit. The choice is always before each individual, to drift with chance or to steer with law. Alignment unlocks abundance because abundance is not something to be chased, earned, or persuaded into being. It is already present, already flowing, already surrounding every life. Yet it remains unseen, untouched, and unused until one aligns with it through thought, word, and belief. Alignment is the tuning of consciousness to the vibration of supply, the harmonizing of the inner state with the outer good. Just as a radio receives the broadcast only when turned to the proper frequency, so does the individual receive abundance only when attuned to its vibration. The signal is always present, but until alignment occurs, there is only static noise and silence. When alignment comes, clarity rushes in, and what seemed distant and rare is revealed to have been near all along. Abundance is the natural order, not scarcity. Scarcity is but the shadow cast when one is out of alignment with truth. Nature reveals this law in every corner. The trees bear fruit without strain. The rivers flow without end, the stars shine without depletion. There is no striving, no desperation, no worry in the universe itself, for it is aligned with its own source. Humanity alone falls into struggle by wandering from alignment, speaking words of lack, dwelling on images of limitation, and doubting the presence of supply. To return to alignment is to return to the effortless flow, where abundance comes not through striving but through allowing. Alignment begins with recognition. One must first know that abundance is real, inexhaustible, and divinely ordained. To deny abundance is to deny alignment itself. Recognition lifts the veil. For as soon as the mind accepts that there is supply, the channel begins to clear. The next step is speech. Words carry the vibration of belief, and when spoken in alignment with truth, they become keys that unlock unseen doors. To say, "I am provided for," is to align with the eternal provision of spirit. To say, "Everything I need is here now," is to tune into the ever-present flow. Alignment is not merely repeating words, but speaking them with conviction until they saturate the consciousness and displace every thought of lack. The heart, too, must be aligned. One cannot speak abundance and secretly harbor resentment, fear, or distrust. Such vibrations clash with the flow and create blockage. Gratitude is the harmonizer of the heart. A grateful spirit aligns instantly with abundance, for it sees the good already present and expects more to come. Gratitude transforms the smallest gift into evidence of limitless supply, and that evidence strengthens faith. When the heart beats with thankfulness, the doors of abundance swing wide, because gratitude is the language of alignment. Alignment also demands imagination. One must see themselves already living in the abundance they claim. To imagine lack while affirming supply is to live divided, and a divided house cannot stand. But to picture abundance with joy, to see oneself prospering, to feel the reality of it inwardly, is to align the creative faculties with the truth. The imagination is not fantasy but blueprint. It shapes the unseen substance into patterns that the law then fills with form. When imagination, speech, and belief are aligned, abundance has no choice but to manifest, for the signal is clear and undistorted. There are those who toil endlessly for abundance, chasing it as though it were a fleeting shadow. They labor, they struggle, they strain, yet the more they chase, the further it seems to slip away. This is because they are out of alignment. They believe abundance is outside of them, withheld, scarce, or difficult. Their words reflect their fear, and their imagination paints pictures of lack. The law simply mirrors their misalignment, and they reap frustration. Yet the moment they release the struggle, turn inward, and align with the truth that abundance is already theirs, the chase ends and the flow begins. Alignment is effortless once understood. It requires no force, no manipulation, no pleading. It requires surrender. Surrender to the truth that supply is infinite, and that one is already connected to it by divine right. This surrender does not mean passivity but trust. It is the quiet confidence that the stream will carry the boat, that the sun will rise, that the seed will grow. In alignment, one takes inspired action, guided and supported by the flow, rather than frantic action driven by fear. And because the action arises from alignment, it bears fruit with ease. When alignment is true, even small words have great power. A simple, "thank you," can unlock a fortune. A simple, "I receive," can open channels long blocked. The power lies not in the complexity of the phrase, but in the harmony between word, thought, and feeling. Alignment means that no part of the self is at war with another. The mind believes, the heart trusts, the lips declare, and the imagination envisions. All currents move in the same direction, and abundance flows without obstruction. It is often through alignment that miracles appear, though they are not miracles at all, but natural results of law. To the unknowing, it may seem astonishing that 3 words could bring sudden wealth, unexpected opportunity, or instant healing. To the aligned, it is simple truth. They know that the universe holds nothing back, and that as soon as consciousness aligns with the flow, the form appears. What others call luck, coincidence, or miracle, they call law. Alignment has unlocked what was always waiting. Abundance is not created by alignment, it is revealed. The treasure house is already full, the channels already prepared, the supply already present. Alignment is the key that opens the door, not to bring something new, but to see what has been there all along. The one who lives in alignment walks in a world of constant provision, where each need is met before it is spoken, where each step is guided, where each day brings evidence of the infinite. Their peace is not shaken by appearances, for they know appearances bend to alignment. Their joy is not dependent on circumstances, for they know circumstances reflect their inner state.